The world is shifting, and old alliances no longer seem safe. Russia is rolling the dice, reaching across continents and betting that India might turn its back on America. The stakes? Nothing less than the future of global power. This is no ordinary diplomatic dance. This is a dangerous game where every move could redraw the world map. Vladimir Putin knows he needs allies. Western sanctions have squeezed Russia like never before. Europe has closed its doors. The United States too is tightening the noose. In this storm, India stands out as a potential lifeline. Can Russia tempt India back into a closer embrace, away from Washington's grasp? But India is not the country it was 20 years ago. It is richer, stronger, and more confident on the world stage. The leaders in New Delhi know their choices matter. Each decision will echo across oceans and mountains, affecting billions. The question is simple, yet the answer is anything but. Will India betray America for Russia, or will it find a way to walk its own path no matter which way the global winds blow? Armies are on the move, jets roar over disputed borders, missile deals are signed in secret and broadcast on national TV. Behind the scenes, India's generals and diplomats are working overtime, their goal to keep India safe in a world that seems ready to explode. For decades, India's military hardware came from Russia. Tanks, fighter jets, submarines, Moscow supplied it all. The partnership was deep and dependable, but as the years passed, India looked west. American drones, French fighter planes, Israeli tech. New Delhi began shopping for the best, no matter where it came from. Trade numbers tell a similar story. The United States is now one of India's top trading partners. Technology, finance, and education tie the two democracies together. But Russia is not out of the picture. Energy deals, arms contracts, and space missions keep the old friendship alive. This three-way balancing act is exhausting. Every purchase, every handshake is watched by Washington and Moscow. India's leaders must weigh their moves, always wary of giving too much away to either side. The R.I.C., Russia, India, and China, was once a dream of Eurasian unity. Born in the late 1990s, this alliance aimed to challenge Western dominance. The Vision 3 great civilizations working together to shape the future. They would build roads, trade routes, and new rules for the world. At first it worked. The RIC held high-level meetings, coordinated at the United Nations, and pushed for a multipolar world. Moscow saw itself as the bridge. Beijing and New Delhi nodded along, wary but interested. For a time it seemed possible. Russia's arms, China's factories, India's markets. But history has its own momentum. Rivalries and old wounds resurfaced. China's rise worried India. Russia drifted closer to Beijing as Western sanctions bit deeper. The RIC meetings became more symbolic than real, heavy with polite words but light on action. Still, the idea of RIC haunts every diplomatic conversation. Could these three giants ever truly align, or are their ambitions doomed to clash no matter how many summits they attend? June 2020. The icy heights of the Galwan Valley. Indian and Chinese soldiers clash in the darkness. Stones, sticks, and fists, not bullets, become weapons. By morning, 20 Indian soldiers are dead. The world stares in shock. Decades of careful diplomacy shatter in a single night. For India, this was a turning point. Trust in China, never strong, evaporated completely. Suddenly, American offers of support looked more attractive. Joint military exercises with the U.S. increased. Defense deals sped up. India's old policy of keeping its options open began to shift. The Galwan clash was more than a border skirmish. It was a warning. China was willing to test India's patience, and its resolve. The world watched for India's response. Would it stand up to Beijing, or try to mend fences as before? In New Delhi, the message was clear. India could no longer afford to trust China. Every meeting, every handshake was now tinged with suspicion and caution. Russia is feeling the squeeze. Sanctions from the West have cut off markets, choked banks, and left Putin searching for new friends. China is a close partner, but even that relationship is tinged with rivalry. For Moscow, India is not just an old ally. It's a potential game changer. Russia wants India back, close and dependable. Moscow offers discounted oil, cheaper weapons, and promises of partnership in everything from nuclear reactors to space missions. The pitch is simple. We stood by you when no one else would. Stand by us now. Yet India is cautious. Russian weapons are reliable but sometimes outdated. Indian generals want the latest tech, often available only from the West. New Delhi does not want to anger Washington, especially as American investment flows in and tech companies set up shop across India. Still, the pressure is real. Russia needs India, and it is willing to offer almost anything to keep the relationship alive. India stands on the edge. On one side, Russia, the old friend. On the other, America, the new partner. Both are essential. Both want more. For Indian leaders, every decision is a test of nerves. The military relationship with Russia runs deep. Spare parts, maintenance, and joint production tie New Delhi to Moscow. But American technology is tempting. The United States offers drones, satellites, and intelligence sharing, tools India needs to counter China. Economically, the United States is a powerhouse. Indian startups crave Silicon Valley cash. Students dream of studying in American universities, but Russia offers cheaper oil and gas, a lifeline for a country hungry for energy. This is not just about money or weapons, it is about trust, history, and the fear of making the wrong choice. India's leaders must ask, who will stand by us when it really matters? Trust is fragile, and between India and China, it's nearly broken. The border stretches for thousands of miles, marked by rivers, peaks, and memories of war. Every year, soldiers stare at each other across the line of actual control, watching, waiting. The Galwan Valley clash was only the latest in a long series of confrontations. India remembers 1962 when Chinese forces swept across the border. Skirmishes have flared up again and again. Talks are held, promises made, but the mistrust never fades. China's investments in Pakistan and the Belt and Road Initiative worry India. Beijing's close ties with Islamabad only deepen the suspicion. India fears encirclement, and every Chinese road built in Tibet is viewed as a potential threat. Could trust ever return? It seems unlikely. For now, India sees China as both a rival and a threat, too big to ignore, too dangerous to embrace. The world is splitting in two. On one side stand the United States and its allies, Europe, Japan, Australia. On the other, China and Russia, building a new axis of power. The old rules are gone. The new game is about influence, resources, and survival. India is the swing vote, too big to be bullied, too important to be ignored. Washington courts New Delhi with defense deals and diplomatic praise. Moscow calls for a return to the old friendship. Beijing tries to reset the clock, but border tensions make that hard. Every global summit is a tug of war. Each country wants India on its side. For New Delhi, this is both a blessing and a curse. The choices are stark. Join one side and risk alienating the other. Or stand alone and risk being squeezed by both. This is the new Cold War. And India, for the first time, holds the balance of power. India has played this game before. In the Cold War, it chose non-alignment, refusing to pick sides. That policy made India a leader among developing nations, respected for its independence. Now, as the world divides again, non-alignment is back on the table. Modern non-alignment is not about staying neutral, it's about maximizing options. India buys weapons from Russia, does business with America, and talks with China. Each relationship is carefully managed, never fully trusted but never fully rejected. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks of an India-first foreign policy. The message is clear. India will not be anyone's pawn, it will be a player, making its own rules, serving its own interests. This is a risky strategy but also a powerful one. In a divided world, only those who can walk alone can truly shape their own destiny. The world waits for India's answer. Will it betray America for Russia? Will it trust China again? Or will it forge a new path, refusing to be trapped by old alliances and new rivalries? India's leaders know the risks. Choosing sides could bring short-term gains but long-term dangers. Strategic neutrality, non-alignment, may be India's best weapon. It allows flexibility, leverage, and room to maneuver when the world grows unpredictable. In this new great game, India is no longer a follower, it is a kingmaker. Its choices will shape the next century. And if history is any guide, India will walk alone, never truly joining one camp or the other, but always ready to tip the scales when it suits its interests. The game is on, and India for the first time in generations is holding all the cards.